Okay, it's time for me to do a video, long overdue for this. Let me see, I gotta adjust this slightly. Yeah, there's one of my snacks here. Sorry, so unprofessional. Anyways, let me get a closer zoom on this for now. So, yes, this is a follow-up, wrap-up review. Something I need to do because I just sold this watch. So I just want to get it out before I don't have this watch anymore to do the review on and wrap up. So this originally started out as one of the reissues of the Giugiaro model that came out in the mid 80s, and this actually was out I think around 2014 or 15 when they started reissuing this. And the Ripley, if you know your watches, you'll know what the Ripley is. Which is from the movie Aliens, and it just comes in like a gray box with these tan, interior pillows and stuff, and that's typical, I think, Japanese JDM stuff, which I believe all these models are. I don't think they made one specifically for the US. But anyways, this started off as a SCED039, which the main difference, before we get into the dial that I modified and customized, I also customized this part was reversed. It was this black rectangular piece, or chrono pusher module, I guess, and these were chrome. I didn't like that contrast, so get this in focus. And so what I ended up doing after some time was just thinking, well, these watches generally aren't that expensive, so I got this version, and then the reverse of this, which has the black case and the silver module, which I swapped, which is the SCED041, and it's kind of reverse. I think it's white. I think it's still black on the outside, but it's with the tachymeter, but it is white, or actually it's silver, but it looks white. This is actually a silver dial. It's actually slightly brushed too, if I can get it to focus. You can see that now. But for the most part, it looks white in contrast in most lighting situations and distances. And so, yeah, so that's just basically reverse. It was originally black hand. Well, this was originally white hands with the black stripe, and yeah, and then the reverse of the SCED041 was, I think, black hands with a thin white stripe. Anyways, just look up those models if you want to see them in the original configuration. I sold the SCED041 after I swapped this part because I didn't really want to keep two versions, and I just want to recuperate some of the costs I put into this. And that was it. That's all I did, was to swap this module, and so that I just like it to look clean and more uniform, like it almost was milled and machined out of one block of metal instead of having this contrast in black. And so that, I like this asymmetry. Actually, I just wanted to emphasize that. And it looks good with the all brush finishing, high polished sides, and yeah. But then what always bugged me about these Giugiaro models is I don't find that most of the colorways don't have enough contrast on the dial. Again, if you can imagine this, if you look back at my old videos, you might see this in the original version, where the chrono seconds is white, as well as these hands. So once on the top half, anywhere where it crosses black, you see it, but once it starts going over, but you'll see that black line, thin black line running through the hands, but overall the hands are white, and so when they're against this light background, they don't really pop enough. So that bugged me, as well as the fact that they never had any loom on this watch. So I decided to, after several months, I came back to this watch and decided, what, I want to try and do one more mod, or further mod this, and update the dial with loom. and add some color. So long story short, I came up with an orange. I figure a nice orange, bright orange pop for the hands would be good to, it'll contrast against the black and the lighter white, or I guess silver dial nicely. And I think I always like blue, so I wanted to do a bright blue second hands in contrast, just to make that, it was originally white. I wanted that also to stand out. And I think in combination with the orange, it's a pretty nice color. And thus this became what I call I believe I call it the Golf Sunset mod. Golf colors, the golf racing colors, was switched like a bright orange and bright blue, just like this. And sunset, because since it's got loom, when it goes into dark, when the sun sets, it gets dark, you'll have loom to see it in the night. And the colors kind of match. I added blue loom, sorry about the focus, come on, focus, blue loom to the ends of the hour markers. And I also, this orange is actually orange loom paint. It doesn't really glow that orange. It's actually more of a yellow glow, but it's kind of a nice, unique or yellow-orange glow. And when you see it in the dark, which I'll try to get a Loom Shot later, it contrasts nicely with that kind of orange-yellow glow with the blue glow of the hour markers. And that was basically it. So, now you can see it very well in the daytime. Nice pop of color and contrast, as well as at night. And it works reasonably well. I mean, with orange loom paint, that doesn't usually last that well, to be honest. But some loom is better than none, in my opinion. What I did was I mixed some of that orange loom with some green loom paint, just to give it some extra pop and longevity. It seemed to work. I did a little test comparison between the base, just the stock mix of the orange loom paint versus the updated, I guess upgraded, the modified orange loom paint with added green loom, which and then it did make a difference. So anyways, this going to the specs. Gosh. This is hard to measure. I believe this should be a 38mm watch. Hang on. Here, we'll put it up against this Hamilton comparison. Let's see here. Well, yeah, let's see. It is smaller. It's really hard to tell. I should get my calipers out, but I'm too lazy to. Well, I think I did a review on this before, but anyways, it should be about 38mm across, maybe 39. But then this kind of offsets it. I mean, how are you going to measure and really judge this? All I can say is that you can see it up against the 40mm Hamilton Dramatic, and you figure out the scale. It's probably a 39, maybe a 38. Anyways, this has a quartz movement, of course. It is using the T7T12 movement. I'm not going to get too crazy, but basically what you have here is a date convocation, obviously hour and minute hands. This is your chronograph seconds. I'll push this to start. It's not a Mecha-Quartz. It's just a regular quartz movement. 24-hour dial, sub-dial here, which is tied to the hour, the main time. So you cannot set this to a separate like time zone. Just like was it the VK63 or 64? I forget which one, but one of the Mecha-Quartz movements has a 24-hour indicator which is tied to, and you can't separate it. It's just there. But anyways, this is your running seconds here. for, you know, that's not the chronograph, that's just your main running seconds hand, and this will be the 60-minute counter. So let's see here. Once this goes off, you will see that tick over. Let's just wait for a second. There you go. And it's pretty simple to operate. You just push this to stop, usually the top pusher, and then bottom to reset. And it does a reset like that. The other function that it has for the chronograph is that it has a split timing feature. So if you wanted to, say, measure some people, a bunch of people racing, right? They started off, and then race to be a lot longer than this probably, but say you want to measure one person's time to cross the line, you could quickly either take a note now, but you can just push the bottom pusher, stop it, get the reading, and then let it continue. And what you do is, I believe you just push this again, and it just snaps back to where the timing was, where it would normally continue on. And then say the next runner comes up, mark it, okay, keep it going, and then the next one, mark it, and the next one, and so forth. So that way you can do split timing, right? You keep your main overall running, timekeeping, and then you can just do individual, timekeeping like that. Split. That's what that's for. And then let's reset that, and we'll go back. This was a size for my 6.875 inch wrist, and it's a pretty cool watch, very retro. I mean, it's from the 80s era, and it's got a funky bracelet, which is kind of a bitch to pain in the ass to size. It's got these special pins here. The way it's like a, let me see if I can get the spares here, show you. So basically what you do is, there's this metal piece that runs through. These are folded over links, but there's this flat metal piece with this is part of it sticking out here, you see. And what it is this little ball here, and that's what you push through, and then it kind of gets to this side on the inside, and it'll lock in. But what you need to do is try to push that out, and then you pull these out, and then it'll free up this link. And it's hard to describe right now, but it's basically there's like a pin that runs through either side, and you kind of undo it, and this breaks into a couple of pieces. It makes more sense when you see it. Look up some videos on how to change the watch, size of bracelet for this watch, or something like it. Most likely it'll be on the Ripley, the SCED039, since that's the most popular and most expensive, which I did own once. Very cool watch, but I ended up selling it. Anyways, there are some videos that will give you a better idea how to do it, but basically you take a tool and push it from this side, and it'll pop out, and then get some good tweezers. I'd cover them because the metal isn't particularly hard, and if your tweezers have those little grips at the end, it could, gouge and damage the finish of these pieces here as you're trying to pull them out. If they don't come out just by once they get to this side, you can't pull them out by hand. You need to get pliers or some sort of tweezers that help you pull it out, and then you can size it, right? Let's see here. Anyways, it's probably best on the bracelet, but I have tried it on leather straps, some NATOs. The only trick to this is that you can see the space in here is very tight. You should get as thin a spring bar as possible if you want to try to run a NATO through there, or even connecting a leather strap. You want to make sure that end part of the strap, especially leather ones, aren't that thick. Otherwise, it may not clear and be able to really, you know, move properly. Or you may not even be able to fit it on there because it's so tight. The spring bar might not get set and it could pop off, and you don't want that to happen. So you want to make sure you got that covered. I recommend, I believe these are 18 millimeters across. I'd recommend getting a curved spring bars. That way, at least, you know, it curves away, and it'll open up a space between here and basically between that, you know, a larger space in the watch, other than what a straight spring bar could do, right? And that will give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of getting a needle running it through, or if you have a leather strap option, that could also help out too. Again, provided the end piece that wraps around that spring bar at the end isn't too thick. Also, that might be problematic. Even if you did get a curved spring bars, it may not help. But just then, you know, let's see here. I guess that's basically it. I mean, I think this watch is pretty cool before, but I think I made it a lot better. Very legible. I think the colors work. I'll show you a Loom Shot later at the end. What would I change? Do I care? This is probably Heartlex or not Sapphire, I think. No, it doesn't matter. You're not going to really mess it up, in my opinion. This is a number limited series. I can show it to you because it really doesn't matter. These aren't really worth that much anyways, to be honest. You know, the range, but it's not like the Ripley, which is really gone up in price. But this is 670 out of 2,000 made of the SCED039, but since it's modified, it's not really the SCED039 anymore. It has part of this 41. And again, custom dial with the Loom. If you can see it. Sorry. If you look close, you can kind of make out the Loom plops right there. Okay, I guess let me show you the Loom Shot here. Okay, where's the watch? If you hear some feet pattering around, that's just my dog moving around my room. And here you go. Focus. There you go. It's just the, I think it's the, it looks off because the hands just passed, and then the chronograph seconds hand is kind of blocking part of it. So that's why it looks kind of wanky right there. But this is the effect that I was going for. It looks a little bit more orange on camera, but in person, I'm looking around. You know, these do glow kind of a typical blue-green kind of glow, like BGW9. It's basically blue, but you know, it's never truly blue. There's always a hint of green on these in the Loom, anyways. But it's mostly blue. If you actually had green Loom next to it, you'd see it a lot more. And let's see, I'll probably have to do another boost just because my camera isn't that good at low light, so I just gotta do something to help it focus and keep the exposure kind of up. And what I did was I just made the hour marker a little extra loom on the top, made it a little longer just so you can help you orientate the watch in the dark. Otherwise, if they were all the same small round plops, then you may not really get an idea where 12 o'clock is and what time it actually is. Although, let's be honest, if it's on your wrist, you should have an idea. But if it's off wrist, yeah, that could throw you off. But that's basically it, you know. It's just, I thought that was a pretty cool effect. And I think if you see it in person in front of me, you'd say, yeah, that actually works pretty darn good. You know, you don't see this combination that often, as far as I'm concerned. So I think it turned out pretty good. I think the thin line running through the middle
could have been sharper, but man, these hands were so thin, and just to redraw that black line down there was pretty darn tricky, especially with over loom paint, because it's not the easiest to work with. But anyways, let me turn back on the lights. Well, one more blast here. Sorry. Just for you to check out one more time before I turn the lights back on. But overall, it turned out pretty good, and I think it works. And most distances, I think you'd find that it looks and reads clean enough. Pretty darn good. Most angles. And what else would I say about this? Actually, the loom actually lasts pretty well. I know that the green or the blue loom that I use, paint, if you've seen it in my other mod videos, it actually lasts quite a while. Not that bad from Seiko Lumabrite, actually. It's not quite as intense or potent, but in terms of overall performance and longevity, it's definitely holds its own and works. And I don't know if because I boosted the paint on the orange loom with a little bit of green. Overall, if you let this run overnight, give it a full charge at say 11 or midnight, and you wait maybe 5-6 hours till just before dawn when the room is still dark, as long as your eyes are well adjusted to the dark, you'd probably still be able to read this reasonably well, if I recall. So let me turn back on the lights. Let's see, put this back on the wrist real quick. So it's simple fold over, not much of a micro adjustment there, as you can see, but it's actually a pretty comfortable watch. It's not that heavy, and some people worry about this. It really, let me back up a little bit. It really doesn't really hit the back of your wrist. If you had it super tight fitting and like up your wrist more, yeah, I suppose, but no, I mean, I never wear my watch that tight, especially on the bracelet, and so it's not an issue. There's no real hot spots on here, nothing that will ever irritate you as far as I'm concerned. And this is not a hair puller. Don't have hairy arms, but as far as I know, it works pretty well without pulling hairs, that is. That's it. Any cons to this? I would say the only thing I guess I don't like, well, I fixed the fact that it wasn't contrasty or legible enough before. Obviously now with the colors, and the fact that it didn't have loom, and now it does. The only thing I'd say is the weakest part of this design is these pushers, perhaps. Yeah, they're plastic, and that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that the way that they're designed, you can see they can kind of rotate or move a little bit. I'm trying to show you that. See? It's just the way that they're designed. They're held in, I believe, with maybe like some sort of C-clips or something on the inside. I forgot. I had to look inside. Or actually, maybe that's on the back to keep the pushers from flying off. There's like a C-clip at the end of this tube, or whatever you want to call that, that's attached to the pusher. And then there's a spring that helps it pop back up. But I think these are clipped on or something. I forget, but it's on both sides. But yeah, you see how it's a little bit. I wish there was a way to keep it just straight. And that's probably the only thing that kind of bugs me a little bit. Is that the fact that these don't, they kind of can shift or move slightly out of alignment. It's not like perfectly straight across like it should be. It's a little bit angled. I mean, it's a quick fix, but that's one thing that I wish they could have done better. But overall, I mean, it's not a thick watch. If it was, yeah, it's just very straight up and down, basically, and so that gives it a seemingly higher profile, but it's really not that thick. And I think that's basically it. Cool mod, and I think I set out what I wanted to accomplish, like the other mods I've done. And I hope the person who won this on eBay on auction has a good time with this. I think it's a fun piece, and I think the way that I modified it is definitely unique and one-off. I'm never going to try that again. It's these hands are so thin and hard to work with, and I don't know. Maybe if I just painted it, if I didn't have to work with the Loom paint, which is kind of tricky to use to apply it nice and even, I would say, yeah, maybe I might do it, but I'm not. I've already done it once. I know I could do it, and I think it turned out well. And that's it. You know, this will be a completely, forget about the limited edition number on there. I mean, there's not likely any other watch that's going to be like this with the Giugiaro design, with this particular case, with this that has the silver matching brush silver pusher module. So I think I was fine that these are black, just to give it a little contrast. And I think it works better than if it was all silver. You know, something a little too much silver could be a little cheesy. I think it'd be all right actually, but I think the contrasts help out and keep it kind of a more sporty side. Am I moving this around too much? Sometimes I fidget too much, some people say, but whatever. I'm working on it. And I'll leave with the chronograph running. And yeah, hope this inspires some of you to maybe try something different, because I've modified a ton of SKXs. Not a ton, but enough. What else have I modified? A turtle and some other watches, but mostly SKXs, and they got plenty of parts. They're great, and I've had lots of fun with that, but I haven't been inspired to do anything new. And this was kind of cool, because hardly anyone messes with the Seiko quartz chronographs, let alone any chronograph. I think from Seiko, especially if it was mechanical or automatic. But yeah, nobody bothers to modify these, and I thought that would be something different to do. And I think the colorways was the legibility of these hands were an issue, which I fixed. At least for some people I've talked to that own a similar watch of one of this or one of the other ones. The contrast on the hands is not that great, and a lot of people do wish there was Loom, and I don't understand why. And I consider this a motorsports themed watch, that Loom has never seemed to be an importance feature on such a watch. I mean, why not? I mean, the whole point of well, say the whole point, but a major point of motorsports watch, much like a pilot watch, is to be able to have a watch that's legible, easy to read quickly, and you know, can be a little busy, but at least everything has its place in. And if it's done right, it should be still fairly legible, and the supposed busyness of the dial doesn't really affect anything. You know, that being said, yeah, why not have good Loom on such a watch? I mean, you don't think that driving and even racing at night, a quick glance at the watch when it's loomed to help out with legibility in low light conditions, that would be useful, but people just don't do that, as far as for the majority. So anyways, I've been babbling on long enough. It's late, and I need to get I really do need to get this packed up and ready to go soon to its new owner. All right, so peace, and I'll catch you in the next one.